This is episode number 264 of the Homeowner Show. Well, whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowner Show. We're so glad you could join us for another live episode here in the studio. How you doing, Kev?
Man, I am so good right now.
Yeah?
It was just a really, really good weekend, man. Like we were camping. Sorry, I'm adjusting the.
Now make me look pretty.
Well, that's why I've got to make some adjustments.
A lot, I would imagine.
No, we just got back from camping, Huntsville State Park, and there's very few things that I enjoy more. Like we bought a camper actually, it's a long story. We've had a camper for a long, long time, and memories are made at campgrounds and around families, and just, man, it's just been really, really good. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad to have some time away. It's kind of re-energizing, all that kind of stuff. So, man, we just got back today. It's been good. So that's what's going on with me. Nice. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for our guest tonight. We've got Eric Blanco from Dry Guys, a subject we actually haven't been able to talk about yet.
Right. Oddly enough.
I know. So we're excited about that one. I have two stories I've got to get out of the way. One I texted you about late last night.
Yes.
And
whenever you texted me, it was just kind of funny. I was like, oh man. And then the second text, I just died laughing.
I forget what I even said in the text, honestly, but
it was fun.
Well, let us in. What'd you say?
I can pull it up. Let's see here. What did I say to Kevin? I just texted him and I said, "There's a dead armadillo under the studio." So he was like dead, like pretty much where you're sitting right now.
Oh, okay.
And my response was, "Oh, yuck."
Oh no, yuck.
Yuck.
Yucky.
I responded to that by saying, "It's not entirely his fault. I did shoot him."
Followed by a bah ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
me laughing.
I got up this morning and I was like, yeah, that was really cool that I got to shoot that armadillo because he's been destroying my yard for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
I tried catching him, but
I really only see dead armadillos. I don't really see them alive that often.
Pretty much the only package they come in these days. Yeah. I got up this morning and I was like, that stupid armadillo is dead underneath that building. He's going to be stinking in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So I got up this morning and we were doing some chores around the property and my son came outside and I said, "Come here, son, got a little job for you." And I said, "Here's the deal. There's a dead armadillo underneath the studio. There's $20 in it for you if you go underneath there and drag him out." He was out of there by 10 a.m.
Dude. And now, granted, this is the child that has said, "Daddy, when I get older, I'm going to do what you do."
Oh, yeah.
So that
he's in.
He's all in.
That's pretty wild to say at that age.
Yeah. He's 10, by the way.
Did you say that?
No. Like my famous line that I tell everybody about this business, I told my dad to go to hell till I was like 27 years old.
Right.
Like I didn't want anything to do with it. And mostly because I was an idiot.
Right.
Thinking I was better for me to try and go do my own thing.
Yeah, keep your silly pest control business.
Yeah, like this lucrative, very profitable business.
Get an art degree, and we're going to be fine.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I got some dirty laundry to air.
Oh, I cannot wait.
Yeah,
this is going to be good.
If you've been watching the show any amount of time, you know that I own a pest control company. And I'm going to tell you the name of the company because it's relevant to the story. The name of the company is Excalibur Pest Control. We typically don't talk about that on the show because we're not here to promote us.
Correct.
The reason I'm telling you is because we got a 1-star review on Google.
Oh.
Now, our business has been around about 40 years. We don't chase reviews. Like, we've got a steady, stable of clientele that we've acquired over the years. Like, the business is doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So this woman, who I'm going to out, her name is Alicia Grafaldo.
Wow.
And she is a real estate agent at Redfin. So you can look her up. She has pretty good reviews. Ours are better. She calls us and says, oh my gosh, there's something in between the floors of my house. Can someone get out here just as quickly as possible to check things out?
Okay.
And so like we go, absolutely. Just by the way, there's going to be a service call for us to come out there and take a peek. We're going to do everything we can. Any work that we do is going to be applied to that service call. And she agrees. And so I, the owner of the company, go out because it's not on route with anything that we have going on over the next couple of days. Okay. So it's only fair to send me.
Sure.
If it's like, please come help me. And so she plays the single mom card. She plays the woman in distress and begs us to come out. So we come out as quickly. I think we're there within like the next 24 to 48 hours.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
So I get there and do like a thorough inspection of this property. I walk the entire exterior of the property. I go through the interior of the property and the attic. I'm there about an hour.
Okay.
Right? And she's walking me around and she's showing me stuff that she's already done. She knows it's a squirrel. She just doesn't know where it's coming and going. She found a spot where it's coming and going, and she just filled it with foam, and it looked terrible.
This is her house.
Her house.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that'll work. So we got him there. We just need to figure out where else he could be going, or we just need to figure out if he trapped him in the house.
Right.
So I go through the entire attic.
Right.
And I find a place in the attic where it could be coming and going. Mm-hmm. It was one of those old attic vents. Mm-hmm. And people usually put like wire mesh on the backside of it to keep stuff from coming inside.
Yeah.
The house was so old, like the wire mesh had like deteriorated.
Oh wow.
So I was I was taking pictures for her, and I was like, okay. And so I bring all this back to her, and I'm like, look, this wire mesh has deteriorated up near the vent. We can replace that for you if you want, or it's something pretty easy if you want to do it yourself. And I give her the price for that, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. I'll just get my dad to do it. No problem. Right. Just wanted to let you know that's what it was. She also had a small trap up in the attic for catching squirrels. Okay. And I was like, great, you already have a trap there. You want me to just go ahead and set that for you and bait it for you? Would love for you to do that. Could you do that, please? No problem. So I bait the trap, set the trap, walk away from the account.
Right.
I was like, and I'd given her the price for the other thing. She said we were too expensive. I'm totally okay with that. Get your dad to do it. I don't care.
Right.
Like, I'm there. And so here's what happened. Is we sent her a bill, and the bill was $5 more than what she had agreed to over the phone.
All right.
So she called and let us know.
It's perfectly reasonable.
So we changed it.
Deal. Easy.
$5.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No big deal. Like it was literally a clerical error on our part. We fixed it.
Yeah.
She pays the bill and then writes this.
Oh, geez.
There we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Paid for the trip charge. They gave no real value on how to remove a squirrel I have in between the floors of my home. He put some peanuts in a trap I already had and said that would do it. Didn't say that. He was here about 10 to 15 minutes. Not worth the money. I paid just to tell me that. So, real problem is her grammar. But she just outright lies. I mean, just straight up lies.
15 minutes.
Yeah, there's no way I was only there 10 to 15 minutes. I was there 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
Like, it takes me 10 to 15 minutes to get up and back and out of an attic.
Sure.
Right. Especially when I'm up there taking pictures. I had to go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I was there 10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
So this lady's just, I mean, she is a scam artist that is just pulling people into her home to get information and then giving bad reviews on Google.
Ooh, you see other ones?
Huh? No, you can't look at what other,
you can't?
I mean, it says that she's
nice
given
if
10
you could.
reviews. I mean, I can look up and maybe it's clickable. Let's see.
Well, here's the problem. Like,
yeah, 1 star.
You found more.
1 star. 1
see it,
star. Here's a 4-star. It's some balloon lady.
Okay, she deserved it.
1 star.
Yeah. I mean, it's balloons.
Yeah.
Okay, so like out of the 10 reviews that she's given, 8 of them are 1 stars.
Oh my goodness.
One of them's a 2-star. The rest are 4 stars.
See, come on now.
And then, okay, like here's the thing. Like, this is a dumb real estate agent. I don't think she knew who she was messing with either.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, she didn't know that, like, this guy might have a show that could actually talk about me. Like, no, This is a person who goes online intentionally just to say crappy things about people's businesses. This is like not smart behavior on behalf of a real estate agent.
Sure.
You want to partner with businesses.
Right.
And, like,
especially businesses that can feed you more business.
Yes.
Because a pest control, pest control, HVAC, a lot of these places that like are common things you have to take care of during these types of transactions.
So, for everyone out there that might be shopping for a home in Kingwood, let me tell you who not to call.
What's her name again?
Alicia Grafaldo.
Oh.
Alicia Grafaldo.
Be happy to link that up.
Right.
So,
wow.
And she has she does have 7 active listings. All of them look overpriced. Imagine that. But she speaks Spanish.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Bilingual.
She can screw you in 2 languages.
That's right. Oh, that is frustrating.
Anyway, and the reason she called us is because we have outstanding reviews. Like,
sure.
People love us.
Right. Yeah, we can take care of your rodent problems.
Yeah.
And we do.
Well, that's the thing that bugs me is like no real value. Well, no, I offered you the value.
Right.
Like, this is what I can do. And I did a bunch of stuff for free.
Right. That's the most frustrating thing about it is it's basically a service call.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the lowest thing y'all have on y'all's menu.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Yeah. It's the most basic you could do. It's what it sounds like, setting and baiting a trap. I mean, there's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a whole lot there, right? I mean, that she just wanted the bare minimum, right?
Yeah. She wanted honestly, from our interaction, what she wanted me to do is she wanted me to tell her how to do it so she wouldn't have to pay me to do anything else other than just be there.
Yeah.
Which I did. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, catching squirrels is not super easy. Like, people want you to do it because they think it's nice. The easiest way to get rid of them is to exclude them, like stop them from coming in.
Right.
And then if you trap them inside, it's way easier to catch them. They're just not lurable.
Right.
They are, but like not as easy as like a possum or a raccoon or something like that.
So let's talk about this for a minute because I think that this is important.
Yes.
I mean, this show, if you're listening to this show right now, you're either a business owner that just enjoys the content, right? Or you're a homeowner, which is our target audience. Okay, so if you're a homeowner and you call a person out,
right,
who is a contractor to do anything, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. It could be a plumber. Hey, I've got a clog. Come check this out for me, please. Can you tell me what's going on? It doesn't matter what it is. They're going to charge you for the call. Let me give you a perfect example. The other day, my mother-in-law, she tells me, hey, the zero-turn lawnmower won't start.
Right.
I'm like, all right, what's going on with it? She was like, I don't know. It tries to start and it will not turn over. Right. I was like, all right. She said, I got a friend who's going to come over and check it out. Friend comes over, he checks it out, cannot get it to start either. And she was like, do you want to try? I was like, why? Like, I mean, I can try, sure, but like, I don't know that I mean, two people who know what they're doing. It's her lawnmower. Like, I'd never even used a zero turn before she showed up at my house. Now I love them.
No, they are fantastic.
But
can't go back.
I'm like, this is, I'm like, I'm like, no, I don't need to test this.
Right. 2
competent people have done it. So I said, tell you what. The guy that's come out to do some work on it before, let's call him back. So he comes out. I kid you not. He pulls it out of the little shed that it's in.
Right.
And turns it on.
Yeah.
Oh, turns it on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what'd you do? And he goes, I turned it on. And I was like,
probably took it out of gear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like something was
zero
up.
turns have like different like little things that are different from like a regular riding lawnmower.
Sure.
It won't even turn over.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to have every setting right.
Yep.
Yeah. Every bar's got to be in the right place.
And there's safety things that they build into them. But
sure.
But yeah, go ahead.
It's like it was worth it.
Right. So he literally like starts it, and he looks at me and he was like, I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what I did. I just turned it on.
Right.
And he gets on it and like goes and mows a swath over here.
Yeah.
Brings it back and he goes, I think it's fine. And I was like, I think it's fine too. How much do I owe you?
Yep.
And he said, it's just $65 for the service call. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I owe you.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I get.
Yeah.
That's exactly, like, it does not matter. If you call a contractor out, they've got time invested.
Yeah.
They've got money invested because they're paying for gas, right? Whatever it is, if they do nothing while they're there,
Yeah.
you removed them from making money somewhere else.
Yep.
You owe them a service call. Like, the service is a convenience, right?
Yeah.
Now, most contractors that I know are going to roll that into the service.
Yep.
Right? Like
Right.
you just said, if you use my services, that service fee,
Goes away.
it goes away basically.
Yeah. We're not adding it on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I want everyone to understand, like, there is no contractor out there scamming you out of a service fee. Whenever you made the call, not only that, this person said it was urgent.
Yes.
Like, have to be here immediately, which means, in my mind, you have work to do whenever you get there. But whenever you get there, all of a sudden your prices are too high. What are you going to do? If this is that urgent and it took you within 24, 48 hours to get there, that urgent, what are you going to do? Wait on the next person another 24 to 48 hours if they're that quick? So now you've got maybe up to 4 days invested in this.
Right.
How urgent is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and here's one of the other things that bothers me about one is just the outright lie that I was only there 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a blatant lie.
Right.
Okay? Like, the rest of it's sort of subjective,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
And like if she didn't feel like I added value, fine.
Right.
But one of the things that I always do when I leave someone's home is I always ask them, "Hey, is there anything else I can do for you?"
Yeah.
And if you say no to that question, it's like, "No, thank you. It's been great."
Right.
Which is what she told me.
Yeah. No, it's a good question to ask right as soon as you
Right?
go out. We hate to say something similar.
So, but like, if you're unhappy with it, like, tell me then.
Right.
I'll fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, you go to the internet and give me a 1-star review,
Yeah.
Right.
one based off of complete nonsense and a lie,
Right.
but then off of like, hey, I even asked, like, anything else I can do for you
Sure.
after I'd done more than what I should have been doing
Right.
from the get-go, which was just diagnostic.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want me to do anything. I offered to do some stuff. And then, and so, like, one of the things that we come across a lot doing this show is, Eric, guys like you that wish that there was some sort of like recourse when people do this kind of stuff to them.
Right.
And the problem is you don't want to do it because if you make them mad, then they'll just come back at you.
Right.
I'm just kind of at the place now where I'm just kind of, I don't care. Like,
Right.
she can come at me all she wants.
I've kind of seen it from every angle too. You could write an angry reply
Yeah.
to the review. That doesn't seem to help.
It doesn't. And it doesn't help
seem
at
to
all.
help
It makes
at all.
it makes you seem petty.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like what I want people to understand is, like, just because it's written on a review on Google doesn't mean that it's true.
Right.
Compare it to everything else that you see.
Yeah.
Because like if you're someone like me who doesn't go chasing reviews,
Right.
I don't have that many reviews, but I'm way bigger than some of the companies that have like 500 reviews.
Right.
Sure.
And so like you're not comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, I think even people are starting to become kind of privy to that, right? When
Yeah.
they see, 1,000 5-star reviews or 100 perfect reviews. Like,
Yeah.
okay, something's up here, right? And I feel like it's also, people are just more likely to leave 1-star reviews than say anything. Because we ask the same thing. Before we're done with any job, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? And that's 3 different questions right there. So if anything should be able to fit in those. So to see a bad review after that, it's kind of like, what in the world?
Oh, it's a coward.
I know you are mostly a homeowner show, but it's like I feel like people do this with restaurants where if their meat is cooked the wrong temperature, they won't send it back. They will leave them a bad review.
Right?
And just send
And
it.
like they want to fix it.
Yeah.
Sure.
They want to fix
They
it.
would much rather fix that baked potato than get a bad review and lose customers, right?
Yeah.
Let them, give them a chance, right? But in your situation, well, not even.
Did not even an option.
You didn't even mess up the baked potato.
No. So, and I don't even think she would dispute that.
Right.
I mean, like, if we were to get her on the phone and be like, hey, like, what actually happened? Like, I wasn't there 10, 15 minutes. That I didn't give you no value. I answered lots of questions. I walked every step with you, held your hand through this whole thing and really tried to help, even though you didn't want to do the things that I told you that you needed to do.
Right.
That's not on me.
Really intriguing for the podcast if you could get her on the phone on the next episode.
She would never do it. She would never do it. We'll do it. Like, if she wants to do it, we'll do it.
Yeah, bring her.
That.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be happy to have that conversation.
Sure.
And amazing.
She might want to do it just to
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, the truth of the matter is, my advice in those moments would be, do not go and say, how dare you on a review reply, obviously. But I do think you could say something like, I'm sorry that you felt this way. Give us a call. We will take care of whatever issue, whatever, right? Yeah. Like you can say something that goes, whoever else looks at this goes, no, we did go above and beyond to make this okay. The other thing I would tell you, man, just bury it with other people's reviews.
Yeah.
Like one star reviews are they're just opportunities for you to go, you know what? I need other people to leave me reviews. Right. So you start asking for them.
Yeah.
Like, you just bury it,
Yeah. Well, so like, here's my thing is, yes, normally I would do that. But honestly, she pissed me off.
Oh yeah, I understand.
And so I want to take one for the team, so to speak, so that other businesses know that you can stand up to these freaking bullies,
right,
who are trying to attack you through the internet and ruin your business.
Right.
Like, she's not doing anything to my business.
No.
Like, no one's read that review and believes that any of what she said is true.
No. Mm-hmm.
But the fact that she had the audacity to do it without the truth.
Sure.
Like, that's what I'm calling out. That's what makes me mad.
Right.
And so, like, I just want to call it out. I want to call a spade.
Sure.
And just let people know, like, look, you can call these people out. And it just made me mad because she was really, really nice to me while I was there.
Yes.
And was appreciative and thankful and thanked me up and down. And I don't know if it, like, the price change just really threw her off or something and made her mad.
That's $5.
Yeah, but then maybe you fix it,
which we fixed,
sure,
and apologized for.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, sorry, like, miscommunication, clerical error. We fixed it.
Yeah,
we weren't trying to, like, gouge her. Like, we don't need $5.
No,
it's like, it's like it was fine.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so my office staff was like, we're never sending you out on one of those again. It's like, because I'm the one, like, usually my staff tells me, like, look, you don't have to go. And, like, I want to go. I like taking care of people.
Sure.
And so, like, I'm the one in the office that pressed and said, no, put it on my schedule. I'll make, and it was a day where I was off.
Oh.
It was like the only thing I had going. Like,
right.
I had stuff planned with my kids and all this other kind of. So, like, she just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at this point she took advantage of me and then tried to, like, harass me online. And I don't even know what she's expecting us to do.
Who does she think she is? She's not the first woman that's taken advantage of you.
Right.
Exactly. So, let's just be honest.
Well, and willing on the other ones.
Seems like she got her
rise. Violated.
Do you think it made it worse that you were there because it wasn't like a game of telephone?
Well, that's the thing.
So you got to see, like, man, what
yeah, that's the
none of my texts could have done better than this.
That's the thing is she didn't know that I was the owner.
There you go.
And I never play that card with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I'm at their property.
Right.
Sometimes they figure it out.
Right.
Either because the person on the phone, some people will call and say, hey, I'd really like to speak to the owner. Or I'd really like the owner to come out for this one.
Sure.
Either because, like, they've heard from a friend through a friend, like, who I am.
That's
and so,
the
like,
guy. Yeah.
And they're like, well, we want that guy. They don't always get their way, but we try and acquiesce to that. Mm-hmm. But this was a situation where she had no clue who I was. And I do it that way so that when I get feedback, they're not targeting that feedback. Mm-hmm. So she thought she was dealing with an employee too.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Of
course.
And so, like, there's a certain degree of that where if you're an owner, you recognize that sometimes people do that kind of stuff in order to try and get somebody fired.
No, that's real.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
And for whatever reason, she, took it out on me, which, again, kind of funny.
Right.
At this point.
When we first started our business, me and my brother just started out in the truck. And one time we got off pretty early that day. We were 3:30. So we had nothing going on that day. So we went and got some tacos and had a margarita.
Good day.
Lady saw our truck and called in the phone, and my phone rang.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I just want to let you know that 2 of your employees are sitting here having a drink, and they're clearly supposed to be working. And I just kind of turned around. Yeah, I'm the owner. Just kind of hung up. Like,
I'm right here.
Yeah, no, we're good.
That's me. We're okay here.
Yep.
But I just kind of like,
It was Tuesday, man.
what a narc.
Like,
We have tacos on Tuesday,
Yeah, it's
and we have
tacos.
margaritas with our tacos.
Yeah.
All right? Like,
how do
we
you
had a
do
big-
it?
we had a big job. I'm a 24/7 business, so sometimes off Tuesday is a Friday.
sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Saturdays and Sundays and Friday, they don't all have the same rules every week for me. So it's when I can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, real quick, let everybody know what you do.
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Eric Blanco. I'm with Drive.
25 minutes into the show, we're getting to you.
That's fine. Let's go. I totally forgot. Yeah, I'm Eric Blanco. I own Dry Guys Water Damage Solutions, and what we are is we're a full-fledged water and mold restoration company. We're 24/7. So that means anybody that experiences any kind of water loss at all. Obviously, there's the big obvious ones like hurricanes and storms. If someone gets flooded, we work with insurance to restore their home back to the conditions it was before. We also deal with a lot of common household leaks. That's honestly how we get through. We're not obviously having hurricanes every couple months, but
Thank
common
goodness.
household leaks. ACs, water heaters blowing up, and a lot of mold remediation. We do deal with a lot of mold. We're licensed mold contractors. And here in the state of Texas, if it gets a little bit humid in your home or you start to have a beginning of a mold problem, unless you get it taken care of right, it really has the ability to get out of hand quick, which is why there's so many companies like mine. So
Sure.
that's a kind of a
But
basis of what I do.
Do you feel like there's a lot of companies like yours around? I mean, I know that like there's a couple of big names
right?
that do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
We won't mention them here. But are there a bunch of companies your size like what you do?
Okay, so no, for sure.
Okay.
No, there's not. There's not.
Does it feel like there's a lot because there's a couple of big names that
there's a lot of
take up a lot of that?
For sure.
Yeah.
So, there's some big franchises that are very international. And you're right. I guess that is most of what I'm competing against.
No, I get it because we're in the same same boat.
They could be smaller franchises, where they're not a big opera, but they're huge companies all around the world. So yeah, I guess kind of the more local stuff, you definitely don't see as much of that in the restoration industry. I've met a couple guys, that kind of started up just like us, but it's not many. It's really it's most people go the franchise route, which hey, I might have gone that route if I had a little more starting money.
Well, I think that there's a lot of questions around that. Like, okay, so there's some big companies out there,
Right.
which means they've had a lot of success. There's a reason that company gets large. They don't
Absolutely.
get large because they're screwing people and that kind of stuff, right? Like, they're obviously doing some things right.
Right.
But why would I go with a smaller business over a larger company? Because in my mind, I'm just like, okay, well, why would I not go with someone who maybe has more experience or
Right.
something like that? So what is your elevator pitch, so to speak, of like why you would choose a smaller company over a larger one?
And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say every smaller company is better than every larger
I would agree with that.
You can't just say a blanket statement like that. It depends,
You can. It's just not true.
You can, but it's not true. Yeah. I'm not going to say every smaller company is better. But, I mean, if you get a company that cares, right? Bob's Pizza, his name's on the place, and he cares. I think it is different than going to a big franchise. I like personally what I've dealt with working at the bigger companies and the smaller companies is sometimes if it's such a machine where you're not connected. We could have multiple divisions in the same company and we not know anything about each other. Even to simple things like going to a house. You call, you get a salesman. The salesman comes out, and then he's going to send a technician. And then over the course of the week, you're going to have 3 or 4 more technicians. If you have any questions, you get to call to an office lady who doesn't know anything going on about the job. After the job, you could talk to someone else. So you're talking to 7 to 8 people for really simple jobs. I've seen a lot of that go on.
And then not only that, you as the homeowner are like, man, I've told this story so many times.
There's
and it's
nothing
one
worse than
company.
having to repeat that over and over. Same company.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, especially whenever a lot of these calls that you're probably getting, we'll get into some of this, I'm sure, but like a lot of it is like, my kid left the water faucet on.
Yeah, we get those. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
and so and then it's like you're having to call and be like, yeah, so this happened, so we made a mistake, and like you say it over and over and over and over and over. It's just like, why?
Yeah,
why? You know?
Yeah,
I get it.
And when I first started, I was definitely I was in the field, doing the actual work. So definitely from my point of view, it seemed to make way too much sense to have, the guy who's selling, just like in other industries, the guy who's selling the job should probably be project managing this job.
Sure.
Yeah.
You would think so.
The quality control, and just kind of being able to focus more on certain projects instead of, it's just about time. Fitness. Obviously, you got to make money. You got to do what you got to do. But when I sign someone, especially, if we're doing a big, serious mold job, that's a lot of our attention. And we will turn down stuff if we have big enough projects that needs all of our attention, all hands on deck. Because for us to mess up, we really messed up. There's no one after us. If someone's hiring us to do like a mold job, for instance, or water restoration job, it'll be very obvious if we screw up. They will have problems down the line, and
because the mold will come back.
The mold will come back.
Yeah.
If you mess up at all on the water restoration side, it's honestly very easy to do my job at the bare minimum. It can be. It really can. You see a lot of storms where, you'll see some roofing companies, they'll grab some restoration equipment, toss it in the house.
Yeah.
And sometimes people could think it's really easy. And that's how a lot of companies will run it too. Big companies where we pay our guys $15 an hour, toss them in the truck, toss some equipment in the house, when there's a big difference in any of our jobs doing it the bare minimum way and the right way. A lot of what we have to do has to deal with manipulating the environment, controlling the humidity. If you do a couple things wrong and you don't control everything how you're supposed to, when you're drying out a house, you could cause it to spread to other areas and cause secondary damage.
Right.
That's the main thing we're trying to prevent. So,
what kind of damage can mold do
to the house?
Yeah.
Well, to the structure, once it eventually gets its little roots in there, it can start to grow pretty hardcore. So really, you're just looking for porous materials, things like wood and sheetrock, living organic things. Mold's a living thing.
Yeah,
it wants to grow and make little mold babies. That's its whole point in going.
Yeah.
So and if you ever look at anything about fungus, you'll see it has little roots like trees,
yeah,
mycelium. And once that kind of starts working its way through grains and sheetrock, you can do as much as you want to, but you're not going to get rid of it. At that point, it's part of it. You may be able to use a biocide or something like that, but I know a lot of people that put bleach and try to do all these, kind of homemade remedies. It doesn't work. Like bleach, for instance, all it does is kill the color, but that's it.
Yeah.
You're really giving it more water, and the 3 things mold needs is a food source, water, and an organic material. So
what is the food source?
Any kind of organic material, like I said, so wood, anything.
Oh, so wood can actually serve as the food source. Okay.
Yeah, wood. Sheetrock's a big one. Sheetrock, it loves to eat sheetrock. But things like stone, metal, concrete, you're not gonna have to worry about.
Okay.
Rock. Stuff
It'll get on them, but you can just wash it off.
If you're gonna see mold on concrete, what you're really seeing is mold growing on top of dust or dirt that's on the concrete. You know what I mean? So stuff like metal, it's not actually part of the metal.
Okay.
Yeah, that stuff's real fun too.
Yeah. So what would you say? I mean, because I can see how most of the time, if something happens in your house where you've got water intrusion, and it could be any, like I just mentioned, like a faucet that's overflowed, and I don't know, maybe it's gotten on the floor and all that kind of stuff. As a homeowner, my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get towels.
Right.
I'm going to sop it up. I'm going to, get it as dry as I possibly can.
Right.
At what point do I need to call someone to just go, hey, I had something happen over here.
Right.
Could you just come check and make sure I don't have any issues? Is that something that should happen, or do you wait a period of time until you have a problem? What's my protocol here?
Well, you know what? I'll say, like, if someone's having a spill, obviously it's not a big deal. If you spill a bottle of water or something like that.
Yeah, like I kicked over my dog water bowl. No big deal.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, you might, if you kick over your dog's water bowl every day for 3 months in the same spot on the floor, like I have
Move
at my
the
house,
dog water bowl at that point.
yes, you may ruin your flooring. You're
trying to get PETA on Kevin's case. Every day, kicking over the water bowl.
Yeah, you got to give your dogs water.
That's right.
He's not kicking the dog, people.
Not today.
But honestly, I would say after any kind of serious leak, if your sink overflows, water takes the path of least resistance. So if you have a roof leak or something overflows, just because it looks like you see that's not actually what's going on. All it takes is for one drop of water. I've seen like a roof leak come down, hit a 2x4, and kind of that water go all the way to the other end of the house, just because it's at the slightest of an angle or something like that. So I think anytime you're definitely dealing with any plumbing or a roof or anything coming from outside the house, you want to get someone at least to come take a look. Getting a water restoration company to come take a look is absolutely worth it, because then you know what's going on. You're not always going to be able to see it with your eyes or feel it with your hands.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that a lot of people don't recognize is, and part of this is just because we do a lot of things to cover up imperfections in our home.
Right.
One of them is baseboards. Baseboards are wonderful. They cover up the fact that your flooring doesn't perfectly line up against your wall.
Covers more
than
than that,
it just covers up. It covers up a lot of things.
Right.
You never notice it, but like you said, water's gonna most people are not caulking their baseboard down to their flooring, right? And water's just gonna get down under the baseboard, and when it does, it's going to go in between the flooring and the wall, and guess what's under that? Like wood.
Right.
Most of the time.
And
right?
Those are the worst areas, is the dark places you can't see, that's not getting a lot of airflow or a bunch of sunlight. That's where mold likes to grow the best, for sure. Like a little example, there's a guy I know, if you're listening, shout out. He's in a couple networking groups with us, but he had an apartment flood.
What's his name?
He probably don't want me to say his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his apartment flood.
Tell you later.
And the apartment managers didn't do anything about it. And it wasn't a big deal. It was just the laundry machine overflowed, water hit a couple, cabinets, baseboards all throughout the house. They didn't do anything, but in their mind, they looked, and after a couple weeks, everything looked fine.
Yeah.
Right? On the outside, it felt dry. On the areas exposed to the area, it was dry, but even with my moisture meter, I knew it was dry. But because they never took those proper initial steps, I knew the place was filled with mold. And it's just after 10 years of doing it, if you went and looked at it, you'd say, this is pristine, this is perfect. But I just knew that it was
hiding somewhere.
It was covered in it. I knew it was, just because it was super soaking wet, and that water never had a place to go. So eventually, it only takes a minimum of 24 to 48 hours for mold to grow, especially down here in Texas. It doesn't take,
it's air.
Doesn't take
saturated.
long at all. Yeah. If we're in Arizona, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
People just open their window and call it a day.
Yeah.
But because of where we live, the humidity, it's not just going to go away.
Yeah.
That's why there are so many companies like I said. But this guy's house, they waited a long time, and eventually I popped off one baseboard, and sure enough, the whole house, every baseboard was completely covered in this stuff. And that could have been solved just by And we deal with this with people who rent in apartments all the time.
Oh yeah.
We go to a lot of these
Like,
jobs.
look, I mean, like anything you can tell me about an apartment, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Right.
Like those guys don't want to pay for, and I don't blame them. They don't want to pay for anything.
For sure. They got their maintenance guys.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened. We figured out that it was covered in mold. We were about to get a mold test, and right before we did, they moved on to a new unit, which we do that all the time.
Sure.
Where we go to places, do an inspection. Okay, you got to do this. And they move them to a new spot, and I'm sure they just put kills over the mold or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people do think that bleach is just going to kill it.
Yeah, it bleaches almost 90% water. You know,
Yeah.
That's the main thing that makes the mold grow. So
But I mean, like, okay, so like, I'm glad you brought that up because I remember Harvey when it flooded so bad here,
We all do.
and like everyone was
yeah.
bleaching the inside of their houses.
Yes, they were.
because they're trying to DIY mold
Yeah.
remediation.
Yep.
for sure.
Because everyone had it and everyone got flooded.
Yep.
Like the companies couldn't keep up. Were you guys were in business then?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh no, I was doing what I was.
You were doing what you were
but
doing.
I started my business 3 years ago, so like
Yeah.
right during the freeze.
So you probably remember. I mean, like people were getting gouged.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. For bleach.
Well, for bleach, but just for like service.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. It was
Anything.
nuts.
And like it was frustrating because like I know like one like you can kill some mold with bleach. Like
And
it will kill some mold.
Yeah.
It's not going to remedy the issues in the house
Yeah.
unless you deal with the moisture problems and everything else that goes with it
Right.
to basically cut it off at the root. You know, like you can kill some mold,
For sure.
but like
There's a place where common sense makes all, that's where it has its place in this. Like if I have some white seats or something, I'm going to put bleach on it to get rid of mold that's potentially
Sure.
on it.
Right.
But if you're spraying down your house with it and it's covered in mold, that's going to have some effects that you're not going to want, down the line for sure.
you're almost making it stronger. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
And what happens? Yeah, a lot of times you'll kill the color, and if it, like I said, if it's got its little roots in the sheetrock, that's can be where it's really bad. Now, a lot of reason why people hire companies like ours is because mold's really easy to spread too, and unless you have perfect, I mean, most of what I do, if I'm doing a severe mold job and it's only really 2 square feet of drywall I'm removing, you're gonna see me going into a house and doing 8 to 10 hours of plastic before we start. Everything's completely sealed off. We have to have a negative air pressure environment, meaning anytime we enter our containment, air is rushing in, so nothing's spreading out. And it has to be precise. All the vents have to be sealed off because when you mess with mold too, it produces mold spores. It has
like when you like hit it or
when you had agitate it at all, it has a defense mechanism. It wants to make more mold babies, like I was saying earlier. So it's realizing, oh no, I'm about to get taken out. Let me shoot out some mold babies.
So mold is of the aggressive sexual nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Not the girl you want to date.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. So what would you say? Because I know everybody around here, I think the most common thing is like, oh, we had a flood or whatever, right? Which happens all the time down here.
Right.
Except last summer.
Right. Tell me about it.
But what are I'm sure y'all are busy through the summer because stuff happens. What would you say the most common thing that you get called out for is?
Summer for sure, ACs. We're
ACs
definitely
overflowing?
Working very closely with AC companies.
Is that typically like a clogged drain line?
Clogged drain line, AC condensates, just sweating? It really adds up because everything kind of adds together. If the attic is too hot, then things start sweating, and because this starts sweating, this starts happening. It's almost like, you'll hear a personal trainer. If you have a bad ankle, you may notice the other knee is bad.
Yeah.
And this hip is bad, and it'll kind of work its way up.
Yeah.
I feel like same thing with houses. If you have a couple things wrong, it's just a compounding effect until eventually I'm there.
Until you meet me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you go enough. If you wait and don't call enough people on the Homeowner Show, you will see me.
Yeah, right. Well, I think that's okay. Sidestep for just a minute.
I forgot your question. Sorry about that.
No, I'll come back to it. But why won't people just have their AC guy out on a maintenance plan? Mm-hmm. Make sure that stuff is taken care of. Like it is way cheaper, y'all.
I know
Way
why.
cheaper.
If you want to know the answer,
Well, please
inform
inform all of us.
This is my opinion.
Sure.
I want to know. Yeah.
It is because like everyone knows that if your AC goes out, you're looking at what?
Oh, it's like $5 to $10,000 without even blinking.
Without even blinking an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people tend to treat AC guys kind of like used car salesmen because they know that where they make their money is on those $5,000 to $10,000 repair jobs.
Sure.
And so they look at them as kind of like charlatans.
Sure.
And like and you
No, I
and
see
you, we all know enough of them that that's not the case.
Right.
No.
I mean, like they're out there, but
No,
like
absolutely.
there's enough good ones out there that you can find a good one and they'll get you taken care of.
But the truth of the matter is, if you're doing a maintenance plan and getting someone out there twice a year, they're actually going to prevent those things from happening by just making sure that things are taken care of.
100%. The problem is perception.
I agree with that.
There's been enough bad actors in the AC field
Yep.
that they've kind of spoiled the pond.
Right.
For other guys who are trying to do an
I get
honest
it.
business. And so like those guys that have maintenance plans that are trying to like maintain people's systems and point out things to them to make their systems last longer, you know, let's be honest, most homeowners, again, the reason we do the show is like I would speculate like 85% of homeowners are just completely uneducated as to how their home even operates and works and functions and is maintained. And which is why some people run into really expensive problems. And so when you have something like a maintenance program from an AC company where they're like, hey, just pay us this amount of money, we'll come out once a quarter, we'll check everything out. People are like, oh, that's a complete scam.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Right.
It's probably not, but like people's perception is it is.
Right.
No, and I get that. I think the question, like you're sitting here. So my question was, what is the most common thing that you wind up doing remediation on?
And it's
you
ACs,
said you said AC is a huge one.
AC is a big one.
And so
Uh-huh.
my contention there is, what is the fix so that doesn't happen to me?
Well,
to
you
me,
do got to keep in mind, we had a heck of a summer just now.
we did.
yeah.
No, it was
Well,
insane.
you guys were pretty busy, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the 105 degrees definitely helps things.
Which I mean seems counterintuitive, right? Because we didn't have any rain.
Right. No, it does seem counterintuitive. And also just the more plumbing's going on, the more water is moving around, the more likely that there's a water damage situation that could happen. More kids are home.
Yeah.
All the sinks and showers are getting used. You know, it's just more likely something can happen.
Well, and
More
with that
water's
heat,
moving
you're
throughout
going to
your
get
house.
dry rot, and you're going to get all
sure.
kinds of stuff that winds up happening, right?
And then you get the animals that want to come in.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the winter.
Chew on stuff. That's
Chew on
always
stuff.
fun.
We get the raccoons chewing through Peck's pipe every once in a while. They're good at it.
Oh, they're
Oh,
They're so
fantastic.
good at it.
Well, so I mean, to your point, we had one not long ago. It was a couple that had moved down from up north, and they bought a house that had been remodeled with PEX, because most homes are not plumbed with PEX
Right.
around here. I mean, like they can be refurbed with PEX, but
Yeah,
most
it's usually
homes,
on the repipes.
the repipes are done with PEX. I don't know if new builds are doing PEX yet.
Almost all new builds are doing
I
packs.
would
starting to do
think
them.
so.
They're having
Yeah.
a thing in the garage too where you can shut off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an
No, there's-
electrical box almost
Right.
with all the plumbing. That's
smart.
really
It's
nice.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like those a lot. But this couple, the house had been replumbed with PEX, and they'd had a rodent in the attic, and it had chewed on the PEX, and it didn't get quite all the way through, but it just got kind of down to that membrane, and the membrane started to leak.
Yeah.
And it just started pooling in the ceiling of the bathroom, and they didn't know until like 2 months later when they had like this giant bubble that had
Right.
accumulated, you know, and then they had a moisture problem. And you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's usually not something that just happens really quick.
Not always. I will say the quick ones, as shitty as it is. Am I allowed to cuss on here? Sorry.
No.
We'll let that one go.
Too late. As bad as it is, to have your whole house flood in water, those quick sudden leaks I think are way better than the slow.
I would agree, man.
Over time, there's a lot of
because you can lie to yourself on the small ones. It's not really happening.
They can really go on behind your back for a while too, and maybe you open up a wall and you say, "Oh, okay, all these 2x4s are mulch. Everything's done. We have structural damage now."
Yeah.
Versus having to just replace a couple boards of sheetrock, right?
Yeah.
So those are definitely way worse. We see a lot where, someone will nail something into a wall. It goes into the pipe.
Oh, yeah.
And it's flush.
Oh, man.
And what happens is like 4 or 5 years, it just got to wait until it rusts just enough until where water will start coming out. And it's from what a handyman did 7 years ago, hanging up a picture, So, yeah, those slow leaks, they're a lot worse. They're what causes the most damage in people's homes. It's what gets people the most sick, too, with all the mold issues.
Because it's easier for it to accumulate over time.
Yeah. And we get a lot of, calls just because people are like, look, I've been sick for a year or 2 years. I'm thinking it's not allergies anymore. You know? Yep.
All right, so I have a technical question, but before I ask the technical question, have you seen the King of the Hill episode on the mold remediation?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good.
What?
It's so good.
Just kind of started getting back into King of the Hill. Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, look it up. It is so funny.
I'm absolutely gonna check it out. Yeah,
because it kind of gets into like insurance scams, and it was kind of
the show is good, so good for all that stuff. As a contractor watching it now, it's awesome.
Well, they're fixing to do like a revival of it.
Really?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, the guy that played Dale.
Yeah.
Have you guys both watched it?
Sure.
So the guy that played Dale just passed away.
Oh, really?
Boomhauer passed away.
No, because the creator, Mike Judge, he did the voice of Boomhauer.
Oh, okay. So Dale passed away.
The guy that did the voice of Dale passed away, and so I think they're kind of trying to figure out what to do with that. But they're doing another like
We need it.
a revival. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
So good.
it's a good one.
But like they have a mold episode, and if you haven't seen it,
I will absolutely
check it out.
Yeah.
The technical question I want, because I use a moisture meter all the time. At what point? At what percentage, because I know that's how moisture meters read out, right? At what percentage am I in trouble?
Well, so I think the main important thing, obviously, if you're getting real highs in the 20s, 30s, something like that matters. But the most important thing is you want to take a base reading first.
What's a base reading?
So if we know this wall is affected with water, we want to check a wall that we know is not affected.
Oh, so like to get like a control.
Yep.
I got
Just
you.
because, house A, it's 8%, doesn't mean house B, it's going to be the same.
Gotcha.
And you may do a couple things wrong because, hey, that house is just, it's 70 years older. So
Man, that's the same thing. That's the same thing with people that are like, I set my air conditioner at 73 degrees. And you're like, 73? I set it at like 78. And you're like, nah, man, you're stupid. It's like, it actually feels the same in both houses.
Yeah, right.
Let me tell you what, if you set it at 78, you're a monster.
I agree. No, I agree. I'm just
you
saying
said
that
78.
I was making it obscure, right?
Right.
But like the same is true. Like it's not going to be the same from house to house, even if it's on the same street, right? It's not going to be the same. So I get it. You got to have that.
Okay, so
you got to have that baseline.
What we're looking for is like relative,
Yeah.
I guess, moisture.
Yeah, and that's relative moisture, right? Obviously, if the whole house, I've gone to houses where everything's reading 20%.
Oh gosh,
and I'm like, what in the world's going on? But there's no mold, everything's fine.
How is that possible?
They're older homes. That's how.
Really?
Yeah, 30s, 40s.
Man, like
those really tough houses.
For me, like I start getting concerned when I start seeing like 13, 14, 15% on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like 20%, you're like looking at it. You've seen some that are 20 and no mold.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and it depends because sometimes at other jobs I'm like 20%. That's wet. We have a problem.
that's
we
soaking
be in
wet.
Here another 2 days, and then sometimes it's not. Sometimes you go to a house and the carpet's never had any water on it. It's just very old, and it's reading super wet throughout the whole thing. That's why.
I didn't even think about the carpet.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Carpet will do the same thing, and I'll look underneath it. Everything's dried, never been an issue, but it'll just sometimes kind of read higher. And I think there's a place for common sense to be involved.
Yeah.
So
like with carpet,
but there's no set number.
Okay, that's fair. So on carpet though, is it typically going to be the carpet or is it going to be like the padding?
Yeah, you want to check both. Yeah, but
But I mean, like, where's mold more likely going to grow?
Oh man, if I'm talking about mold and carpet, I don't, it's easy. It's crazy easy. Anytime we're doing a mold job, we really just throw away all the carpet almost every time, just because it holds it all in, and you can do everything you want. You can get every carpet cleaner. I could fog it and clean it, and put every antimicrobial on it. But that carpet, if you have a mold issue,
in the carpet.
Yeah, in the carpet.
Let's be honest. You wanted new carpet anyway.
You don't. Yeah, you want a new carpet.
If insurance is going to be involved, let them give you new carpet.
And that is the tricky thing is insurance doesn't really cover mold remediation in Texas. It's not covered. They cover sudden water losses. But there's a good reason too. People got real predatory in my industry 20 years ago when the mold boom first kind of started. I wasn't around 20 years.
That was the whole point of that King of the Hill episode. Was predatory mold insurance.
How have I not seen this?
I don't know. Like that's the whole thing. It's like
what it was.
They just keep saying like, oh, we found more. Oh, we found more. Oh, we found more. Oh, we found more. We got to do more. We got to do more. And they just keep charging the insurance company.
It was the Wild West, man. You could have a little spot, a mold like this big, and tell people, you got some mold. People were scared. We got to gut the entire house.
Yeah.
And it just makes no sense.
Wow.
That'll be $200K, please.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid stuff.
Well, but that's kind of the way. I mean, like they were playing the same game that the medical industry plays, right? It's like, oh, knee replacement, $300,000.
It is the
exact you're playing
same
cash,
thing.
$5,000.
Yeah, right.
It's the exact
It's
same thing.
like, well, what? Like,
yeah.
And they still deal with it, floods and stuff like that, but they really kind of have regulated everything. They use Xactimate now for everything. So everyone's
Xactimate?
That's kind of just a program that a lot of, I guess, insurance companies will use for people like what I do. It's almost they have like set prices for everything.
Oh, okay.
You can charge more or not, but expect to get pushback.
So are you guys still able to get insurance claims?
Yeah, so most flood jobs that we do that are sudden occurrences, those are insurance jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we sit down to see if it makes sense to start a claim. How much is this job going to cost with us and the reconstruction?
Yeah.
Even though we don't do the reconstruction, we kind of want to have it all figured out still. How much is it going to cost with those two? What's your deductible? Does it make sense to go through insurance and raise your rates if it's only a couple $100 more in deductible total? Probably not.
Yeah.
So we try to sit down with people and try to figure out, does this make sense to go this route or this route? And same that's how we determine if we need a mold test. If I hear the word sick at all, we're getting a mold test. Because nothing I can do will be able to find that mold. My moisture meters, my thermals. It's it's in the microns. You're not gonna be able to see it with your eyes.
Right.
So at that point, everything I say or any other contractor says about that mold is just nonsense until we get a lab report. So that's kind of what that important first step is when sitting down. Is like, all right, where are we going? What do we want to do? And sometimes you get your guys that are like, just give me a piece of paper. I don't care. Yeah, no.
So with all these like bacterial microns in the air, I mean, how? I'm thinking of like these new filtration systems that they're putting like air conditioning, like the UV filtration systems. Like how helpful is something like that?
They're fantastic.
For what? Yeah. For preventing what you're dealing with.
Yeah, you still got to go through the process first. So this is what I noticed, and they do work. They work really good, but I think some of these companies need to be careful about promising too much.
Sure.
Like once we put these in, all the mold is gone and you're done. Really, I mean, that's not true unless you're doing a full clean of the ducting, you're testing the house. You don't really know anything about the mold until you test it before and after.
Right.
In a lab. That's the only way to know. So anyone saying this will get rid of the mold, this won't get rid of the mold, unless you're going through lab tests and going through it the right way, no one knows. But they help a lot. I think it helps usually anytime we finish a job, we want to get our AC guys to come in, and we try to work with our AC guys a little differently compared to other companies.
Yeah.
We do it a little different. It's more complicated. Sometimes it takes twice as long, but we do it the right way. But yeah, we always try to get the AC guys at the end to install all the UV lights, get all that stuff in. And usually once we're done, we're all totally wrapped up, they never see us again for mold. So we don't get a whole lot of reoccurring customers, unfortunately, but
sure.
I'm almost okay with it.
Yeah. But I mean, that is the business, right? I mean, like you don't want
No.
If you do your job well, you shouldn't see them again.
Yeah, people say it all the time, thank you so much, but I never want to see you again. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask this question. How helpful are dehumidifiers in where we live? I mean,
They're great for guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and cigars too. So like we moved out of a home that, I mean, we had an Ecobee thermostat, and it reads humidity too.
Yeah.
And
It does?
yeah, I mean,
I never used that function.
It's relative. I mean, it's not.
It's a ballpark.
I mean, it kind of takes.
I'm okay with ballpark. I just didn't even know it did it.
Fine.
Yeah, it does. So if you look, there's like a little water drop and then a number on your thermostat, and that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So that number was always really high at the house that we lived in. When I say really high, it was like getting up to like 60, 65, that type of range.
Above normal. Yeah.
Above what I would consider to be normal, and what I was reading online was normal too. So
yeah, you really want between 40 and 60.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got a dehumidifier,
Yeah, but
and
that's
that number.
real quick. That's the number for like around here.
Yeah.
Anywhere else? I mean, because like we're in like a very humid.
Right.
Anywhere else? What? Like if I was living like in Ohio, like what should I expect to see? That's like.
Just from everything I know, if you're in like the 40 to 60% range, you're just not likely to have a big mold issue or have things that cause secondary damage. I mean, it's relatively kind of low, 55%. You can
55 and under.
Yeah, 55 and under. At that point, the water's kind of gonna get into the air, and that's really what most of my job is for me to pull moisture out of materials. We have to dry the air. If the air is completely saturated with water, which happens a lot after, if you check right after a flood, you check the humidity levels in the house, you'll see 90%, and if it's at 99%, that means the air is completely full of water molecules and can't hold more. So until you actually start removing moisture from the air, moisture won't leave any materials at all.
Huh.
Yeah, so I guess
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I think that's really helpful because it still plays into the question. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, so what we did, and we were actually finding that we had some moisture in a couple of places, but what we wound up doing is we got the dehumidifier, and dude, like we were like having to dump our dehumidifier like daily.
Yeah, that stuff sucks.
And so it does. But we found it to be helpful in just kind of keeping that overall number down in our home. But is that something that people around here should be interested in investing in?
For sure. Yeah. And, it does depend on your house. If you have a couple problem areas in your house, go to Home Depot and get one of those little tiny, just dump out dehumidifiers. It's better than nothing. They also install them into the attics now. They do put them in with
which
your
is
AC
great
system.
because at that point you have a drain line that you don't have to ever dump anything.
You don't have to ever worry about it.
Yeah.
You're good. It has a certain shut off. So after this sort of humidity, it'll shut off that way. It's not damaging things because you could dry it out too much.
Right.
If you dry out a house too much, you could ruin all the floors
Right.
and anything inside of it. So you got to be careful.
Sure.
There is a fine line.
Right.
And I think that's why people say 40, 60 because they'll put these crazy dehumidifiers in that will just never stop.
Yeah.
And before you know it, all your wood's cracking, everything's shrinking.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a line.
Okay.
But yeah, I think dehumidifiers in Texas, yeah, for sure. Do it.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, not a bad thing. Absolutely.
Well,
I got one.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be good for us. I mean, we definitely got our use out of it. I mean, we bought a good one. I mean,
but I have put it in my house too. And honestly, it did mess up my throat. When I have visited some other states like Colorado or something like that, I'm taking cough drops the whole time.
Yeah, because it dries you out.
It completely dries you out.
I grew up in West Texas.
Okay.
And it's,
that makes more sense.
Yeah, like the humidity levels there are like 10%, right? I mean, it's super, super, super dry in that area. And so, but I know a lot of people, they live in that area, and they get nosebleeds a lot, or their lips are dried out all the time. Right?
I mean, I was putting on chapstick every day, 3 times a day. It was nuts.
Well, I mean, I legitimately, and I don't say this to be rude or anything, but you look at a person that lives in West Texas who's 80 years old, and you compare it to someone who's lived in Houston for their entire life, and they're 80 years old, and their wrinkle level is different.
Yeah.
Like they just look different.
Yeah.
Like the ones in those low humidity areas, they're a little bit dry.
Yeah, a little dry.
They're a little dry and wrinkly.
Yeah.
Look like smokers?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's not, I mean, and legitimately it's just because of the environment, you know?
Right.
So, I mean.
Is that why you moved here? Stay
Yeah,
pretty
that's
a
what it
little
was.
longer?
Yeah, to make me look pretty.
Yep.
It hadn't worked yet. I hadn't been here long enough. I got a few more
Hang
years
in there,
to go.
buddy.
Yeah. Got to move a little closer.
Yeah, I don't know what your excuse is, Craig.
Genetics.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not telling your mom that.
Well, that's right. You can take it up with her. That's why I said it.
I will not. I will not. I've done that once. I will not do it again. Well, okay. So, I mean, we've talked about a number of things, but like, is there anything if I mean, you have your opportunity right now to talk to homeowners. Like, is there anything that you would tell them? Hey, think about this, or do this, or don't do that. Well, I mean,
Or pay attention to this.
Yeah, pay attention to
Yeah.
this. Like, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to go in your attic, for sure. You know, check
Oh,
it
I would
out.
say that is a big deal.
Check
Most
it out.
people do not want to go to their
Go
attic.
in there.
No.
Take a look. You know, take a look around.
What am I looking for?
Yeah. Man, there's so many signs. Usually, he could speak to this. When you see rodents, there's usually a water thing, or if there's a water thing, there's rodents not far behind. I feel like the two are pretty connected.
They are.
Yeah, they are, for
Yeah.
sure. So you're seeing a bunch of rat poop. There's a good one. Your water pressure's low.
Well, not only that, I mean, like if you're seeing rodent fecal matter,
Yes.
that can carry back like mold and bacteria.
Yeah.
And be a food source for those things as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've seen mold on poop yet. I'll be
Well,
looking out
I've
for
seen
it.
mold around poop.
Right. I see what you're saying, though.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it excretes bacteria,
Yep.
which once that's on the insulation, now the insulation can carry it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, looking for rodents, stuff like that. Yeah, definitely don't be afraid to check out your attic. Check your filter. When you take off your filters, look inside your ducts. You know, if you're seeing mold in your air return, that means there's probably mold going throughout your entire house, right? So once you have mold in the AC, man, it's a little late. Not saying that nothing can be done, but and once again, sorry, AC company, not anybody that says I can do an AC cleaning with mold, I don't trust it. I don't completely trust it.
So, I mean, if you could real quick, because I've seen this pop up quite a bit lately, like these duct cleaning services.
The duct cleaning. That's what
So,
exactly I'm
and
talking
they're
about.
claiming and duct cleaning services that claim that they can deal with mold. So, like, what are they doing that they're saying that they can deal with mold?
I think it's a lot of just
They're putting bleach on a brush and running it through the ducts.
It's a lot of just brushes. It's just brushes.
It's just brushes.
It's just getting rid of the dust.
I mean, I'm sure there's other companies that are doing more than that.
yeah,
but
and there's really good ways of doing it too. They have brand new systems where you have to seal everything off, and it's got a vacuum as you're brushing everything. But once again, just going with a paper towel or with a brush or whatever you're doing, and just wiping off all that dust doesn't get rid of the mold. And it's probably why they're not recommending mold tests after they're doing the duct cleaning.
Right.
Because they know they're going to fail.
So let me ask you this: like, say you've got a duct cleaning company and you're pumping like bleach or concrobium through the system. Like, is that going to be helpful?
So, if
I'm not trying to give away any industry secrets, but I'm just wondering if there's like duct cleaning services that are offering like upgrades, or I don't know.
I know I hate saying this, but everything's a case by case basis. It really is.
Oh no, that's fine.
And,
yeah,
it depends on the spore levels, and how it's just like how they do just how you take readings on wood. They check the outside levels. What are the outside mold levels? Because they don't have a set amount in the States to say this is the bad amount of mold. They test it to outside levels, and then they compare it to that. So that's kind of how they know. What was the question? Sorry.
no. I was asking if there's duct cleaning services and they're running like bleach or concrobium.
Oh, right. And if the protocol or the mold test says, okay, we might have a small issue, just have an AC guy come take a look, and it seems minuscule and the levels are below safe, then yeah, it could work. Or if it's slightly above, then it might do just enough. All we want to do is get below levels. We can't ask for much more than that. Because the second you open the door, it's going to equal out anyways.
Right, yeah.
So all you can ask is for, outdoor levels. So yeah, there's a time and place for it. It just sucks that all these things, it really depends. It really depends.
Sure. Yeah.
I always recommend going through, if you're worried about it and you're worried about things happening or spreading or causing more damage, to just go through the right steps and get a mold test.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to come in way before that. We want to come in when they first have the leaks, so they don't have to go that route. Because sometimes you can have a leak, and I'm popping off a baseboard, spraying it, putting in a dehu for 2 days, and we're calling it a day. Maybe you put the baseboard back, and that's it.
Yeah.
Versus if you wait on it, going through the mold situation, it could be way different. It's a lot more intense. You want to avoid it if you can, but once you're there, you want to do it the right way, because if you mess it up, all you can do is cause more damage down the line.
Yeah. Defer it and push it further on down the road.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Don't push it down. Anytime you're dealing with water damage in Houston, don't push it down the road. It only gets more expensive.
So can it? I mean, like one of the things I know we talked about carpet earlier, and I mean, if you don't know, we've been doing this for like almost an hour and 15 minutes. Just see, you didn't think you had enough in the tank, did you? Uh-huh. But like, what about like wood floors when they get wet? Because I know, like, you can't see the underside.
So there's a couple different ways to dry in wood floors. We can get mats. We can do other things. This is what I found. If it's upstairs, really easy. It's a lot easier if it's sitting on subflooring. Once we're glued to concrete,
different story.
Totally different story. You're really it's most likely not going to save it, And once that buckling starts happening, for it to go back down is really hard. Once your floors start buckling from water damage, to really get that to go back down, it's really hard, But once again, depends on the flooring. If you got engineered wood floors, the pressed together stuff, it's not going to go back to normal. If you got real wood, solid wood floors, you have more of a chance,
Oh, you can dry them out and possibly.
Yeah, you have more of a chance. I've dried out homes full of wood flooring. And then other times, had my equipment in there for weeks and not made it a butch,
Yeah.
So it depends. It depends on how much glue they want to slap on that wood, Depends on the kind of wood.
Yeah.
I know I keep throwing that answer out there, but
no.
That's
like,
what it is. Yeah.
What? So to me, that raises a question of like, what's the most mold resistant flooring you can put in your home?
I mean, there's obviously that rubber vinyl stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Where it's just basically waterproof vinyl. You can completely seal the outside of it. Oh, but the obvious answer is tile.
I was just say tile, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
okay.
Tile's the best. Nothing usually, unless they did a real bad tile job. A lot of times, if you have a flood, you don't even have to remove it. If they did a good job with the grout and putting everything crisscross, right? A lot of times you don't even have to take out the tile. So tile's awesome. I love tile. Especially the wood tile. The one.
Oh, they look
the tile that looks like wood flooring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that stuff.
We did our master bath shower in wood tile.
Right.
And a lot of people walk in and they're like, well, how do you keep that from rotting? And I'm like, because it's not wood.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that good, huh?
Oh yeah. No, it looks awesome.
I've seen where people, they get rid of the grout. And they just put tile on that wood tile, and it looks real good. It looks like solid.
Yeah, the issue you run up against, like exactly what you're talking about, is moisture getting through that.
Yeah,
like it looks great.
It does look great,
and it will crack easier, but
for sure,
So because we're actually we tried putting tile on the second floor in some areas, and it didn't go well.
Yeah,
we're fixing after it lasted 7 years.
It's harder on subfloor.
Yeah, it just cracks easier, especially if you're doing like long plank and like
it's definitely
you need smaller
upstairs.
stuff if you're going to do stuff upstairs.
Right.
We learned that the hard way. But we just liked the way it looked.
Right. Yeah.
It's like we wanted it, so we got it.
And all these things depend on obviously the kind of water. There's clean water like that's from your sink. And then anything that's sewage or rain or anything coming from outside the house, where that's a backup something, obviously anything that water touches, it's so grossly contaminated. We don't want to take a chance. We just want to take it out and replace it.
Yeah.
That's just the mood to do with that. So if you have a sewage backup and that soaks up your floors, you don't want to dry and clean that out. That is carrying some very harmful, disgusting bacteria. And it's anytime, if you ever do have a humidity issue, there's so much bacteria and, gross contamination in there that it just makes it so much easier for the mold to grow in the future.
Yeah.
So depends on the kind of water too.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anything else, Kevin?
No, I mean, I was just thinking, that's probably a good place to kind of move on to the next section.
Which we haven't done in a long time.
We haven't done it in a long time. You almost forgot about it, didn't you?
Well, I've never been able to remember the questions themselves.
No, so you're already kind of behind. But we have to do the thing, which is normal. We have to do the thing that we do with all of our first-time guests.
Okay.
And that is very simply called the Final Four.
The Final Four.
That's right. Was that like a laugh track?
I think so. Let's see what we can find here.
There we go.
The Final Four.
It was kind of like. All right. Well, it's very simple, but this is the 4 questions that we ask each and every one of our guests,
which we did not warn him about.
We did
by
not
the way.
on purpose.
Let's
I
go.
thought about it, but I chose not to. All right, so here we go.
Just like a Rangers
Here's the
fan.
4 questions. We're going to start with number
boy.
1 because that's the way questions
nervous.
work. You start with the first one. That would be weird if we didn't. So the first question is this: what is the must-have tool you won't leave your house without?
That's my do it all in one, little $2,000 moisture meter, hydrometer, thermal mix.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just, instead of, looking like Batman walking in a house of 4 different tools, I was like, there's got to be one expensive thing that does all these. So
Yeah.
so I can test the humidity, moisture, and take thermal pictures just with this little thing. That
Oh,
fits
that's cool.
my little fanny pack, that I carry
It takes
around.
thermal pictures?
Yeah, it takes thermals, humidity, and moisture readings.
That's
Nice.
cool.
It's not cheap.
Well,
I'm
no,
so scared
but-
of dropping it all the time. But that's it. Yeah, I mean, for my job, that's my
No one else gets to play
No,
with
it's
that, right?
good.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I really like it.
Yeah.
All right. Second question is this: what's a job you walked away from? Now, we always it's frustrating for most people, probably for us to continue to put this caveat in here, but it was our fault to begin with. What we meant by this question was, what's like a project around your house you started and you just kind of quit, but
Wait, a job I walked away from, or a
but then,
project at my house?
but yeah, so it's really, we wanted to ask the question, what's a project you started and you walked away from? You had to call in the
A
professional.
professional.
However,
Okay.
we as morons asked the question the first time.
We worded it poorly.
What's a job you walked away from? And we're not changing it. So what the question is, what's a job you walked away from? And you can take that however you want to.
I've got a couple. No, I got 2. First one real quick was we kind of got pushed off of it because after we installed our equipment the next day, someone got shot in the guy's driveway, and there became a murder scene, so we got kicked out.
Oh,
We had to stop.
that's different.
Yeah.
So that was.
I think that's the first
I
one.
wouldn't have.
I walked around the chalk with my equipment. It was weird.
Gosh.
And the other one,
Like they made you wait.
We
Hang
got
on,
more
hang on.
questions. Hold on.
I'm actually genuinely concerned about the investigative techniques of these. So like they made you move your equipment. Why?
I don't know. Well, the customer just was like, I don't care. I'm dealing with other stuff right
But
now.
I would imagine the police would have been like, no, everything needs to stay in place till we finish this investigation.
No, there was little, ropes.
Was it like a cut and dry?
They
Like
had-
we know
they-
exactly who
They
shot
had-
this guy.
Well,
Yeah.
they had their
Okay,
line.
that makes way more
definitely
sense.
one of these neighborhoods. There's a guy that owns a big carpet cleaning company, actually, but it's one of
did.
these neighborhoods in Houston where he did. It's one there. I don't think he was the one that died. But, it was one of those gentrifying, Houston neighborhoods where you
Okay.
see $1 million home next to bars on the window.
Oh,
$1
yeah.
million home.
Yeah.
So one of those neighborhoods. The other one that we actually turned down was just, we for some reason get a lot of hoarders call us. I don't know why. It's their house is covered in poop and fecal matter and 1,000 years of newspapers, but they have a little leak and they're like, "Can you fix that?" And you're just kind of looking around like, "Lady,
You have bigger
you
problems.
got some stuff to figure out."
We know a guy.
Yeah,
We do know a guy.
We know a guy.
yeah,
We know
but
a couple of guys.
Yeah.
yeah, there was one job where this house was bizarre. I don't know how anyone lived in it. It looks like they gutted half of it, and they said, "Yeah, we gutted that half about 30 years ago. We just haven't gotten back to
Jeez.
Whoa.
And there's still so much mold covering it. And they called me the whole place was covered in mold. And they called me they really didn't like one particular spot of mold. And they asked me to cut through it. But when I was cutting it out, they didn't want me to do any of the right stuff. They just wanted me to I would literally be cutting through mold. And they just wanted that little part out. And I'm just like, it's 100 square feet solid black.
Oh,
You know, I didn't walk in there without a mask and clothes just for the sale.
yeah.
So they said, can you do that? I'm like, I just had to tell them, no, I cannot in good conscience do that. You know, I'm not going to make things better.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell someone something if I'm not making it better. Like, what are we doing here? You
Yeah.
know? So no,
Wasted my time.
I did have to turn that one down. And they were a little upset at me, but luckily I didn't get a bad review out of it. They just left me alone. But yeah, I did have to turn that down because
Must not have been my friend over in Kingwood.
No. All right, next question. How do you wind down at the end of a long day?
oh boy, my business has been good. Got a boat last year. That's been keeping me busy.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
That's been real nice.
What kind of boat?
I got a Rinker Captiva, kind of an old 90s one.
Okay.
It's got the teal and pink. That's my wife picked the colors. That's what based everything, actually. I had all these good boats in line. She's like, I like the colors on that one. So we got that one.
There you go.
I had a funny, when I never had a boat before, so I was trying to figure it out. I was wanting to say what y'all were talking about earlier about the professional coming to people's houses. I got stuck somewhere, and I had to call one of those boat towing people to come to my thing, and I thought the boat was messed up, and he just like hit one button, turned it on for me. I had to pay him $200.
Oh, no.
But it was worth it. You know, I had to get out of there.
Yeah, the boat wasn't ruined.
Right.
Yeah, he just...
But yeah, after a long day, I like doing that.
So where do you drive it mostly?
Lake Conroe.
Lake Conroe?
Lake
Okay.
Conroe and video games. I like video games. You know,
What game you playing right now?
I mostly stick to, you know, the 2Ks, the Maddens. You know,
Oh, your sports. Okay.
Yeah, mostly stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'll play I gotta be careful though. I get real addicted to that stuff, so I get like 1 or 2 games a year. That's when I'm allowed.
Okay.
I tried playing Red Dead Redemption 2. That was a cowboy game.
Oh, yeah. No,
Okay,
I'm familiar.
If you know about it.
I do.
Jeez, man. I was not a good person.
But that game will not turn you into a good person.
Yeah, it was right when I started my business, too. So it was like I quit my other job, started my business, Red Dead 2 came out. And it was just a bad time. I could have been further where I am now if it wasn't for that video game.
Let me tell you something. Like, I enjoy video games.
Yeah.
I rarely play them ever. I was really into them when I was in college.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something.
I know myself. I can't play them that much.
That is a cool game.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like Shakespeare. You know, it's a beautiful story. You know,
it's
I was in it.
You can be a cowboy.
Yeah. Oh, I spent so much time just fishing on that game.
Wow.
80 hours. So this is where I knew it got bad. Sorry, but this is where I knew it got bad is I was playing so much of that video game that like I saw a horse somewhere and I was like, oh, that horse looks real realistic. In real life.
Yeah. You probably thought in your brain, I can break that horse.
Yeah. It was simple things like that tree looks good. Like, of course it looks good, Eric. It's real. You gotta stop. So once I noticed that, I said that about the horse and tree all right there.
Yeah.
God, those look really good. Like an artist made it or something.
His name is God.
Yeah, God. Like, I guess so. Yeah, I guess I'm giving him credit, you know.
He's a good painter.
He's a good
painter. But once that happened, I stopped playing. So I haven't played in a while.
So real quick, let me interject here. So I have started, and I'm not going to tell the name because I don't want people going over and checking it out just yet. I have started an Instagram account. Have you guys heard about AI art?
Yes.
Do you guys know about this?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. So like here's the thing. Like I don't think a lot of people realize this. There are platforms where because you write the prompts, you own the rights to the art.
Correct.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I have started an account where I'm generating all this art. And like it gets weird, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm about to post some about Clint Eastwood, some portraits that I created of Clint Eastwood. I'll show them to you guys after the show. And they're crazy.
How many arms does he have?
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much information away because like I don't want people like spamming the account or anything like that, because I'm trying to see what the organic traffic is on stuff like this.
Is it like at that .com bubble? Like you better get in there and make some AI
That's what
quick?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering, because I imagine at some point they're going to cut it off to where you can't be using people's likenesses.
Yeah.
But right now you can.
Yeah. You just own the rights to Big Bird and ice skates.
What, like you got to think, like if I'm a painter, right, and I paint a portrait of, let's say, Princess Diana,
right?
Like it's her likeness. She doesn't get any, or the family doesn't get any royalties from that because I created it, right? But it's a picture of her,
right?
It's the same thing,
yeah.
And so I don't know how they're going to curtail any of this where people are using people's likenesses to create art. I'm doing it. And so like when I told my parents about it this afternoon, she's like, well, let's see what you can do with Dolly.
Yeah.
And so I made some Dolly Parton art this afternoon too.
It's definitely a little messed up, right?
It is. But I'm
is.
like, okay, I want to play with it and see what happens,
Right.
Just organically.
It's not like Photoshop hasn't been around forever either, right?
You know, like you can grab a
it's just
picture
really
and
the
you can
next
play
step.
around with it and do, absolutely. This is just a little bit different where like all you have to do is know the language
Right.
to input into the AI in order to get the image that you want.
That's pretty crazy.
I'll show you guys after the show. It's nuts.
It's hard to notice why we're in it too, but this whole AI thing, like we're in the boom. It's kind of like how I imagine the early 2000, right when the internet came. Like we're kind of right here in the middle of it.
Well,
it's kind of fun to appreciate sometimes.
It is fun to appreciate, but the boom was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
honestly.
okay.
Not like really, because
For me, it felt more recent, I guess.
well, no, it's because it's become more public
Yeah.
and accessible.
It has accelerated in the last year.
Yeah,
But the
right.
boom happened 5 years
Okay.
ago.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like the people who were developing this stuff 5-10 years ago. And people will tell you all the time, like the government has had this stuff
Right, yeah.
for years, and now we're just getting like a glimpse of it, right? And so like it's now you're starting to see the businesses come out of it, right? Because you start seeing like ChatGPT and these other services where you can pay a subscrition. Like that didn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
You know, that's been developed over years.
And now they got people with, like fake commercials, you know, they got so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like you heard Joe Rogan talk about like there's so many fake commercials of him out there. Cause
Right.
You got hours and hours of his voice, you know. I saw a fake Ryan Reynolds commercial the other day.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like he definitely had nothing to do with him.
Well, I mean, like all you have to do is go, okay, watch, I think, was it season 2 of The Mandalorian, where the Luke Skywalker shows up, right?
Yep.
And it's not Mark Hamill.
Nope.
Right.
It's just like a graphic
They got it.
imitation of him, and it looks just like him.
Yep.
It talks just like him.
Right.
The actors are engaging him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it was a while. I remember that Tupac hologram concert was a while back now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that might have been like 8 years ago.
Yeah, until they release some evidence, I still don't think he's dead.
He's still around. He's out there.
Like,
Tupac's alive.
I'm just saying.
Well,
He's in Puerto
okay,
Rico.
so I saw a news story about that the other day, and I haven't followed the Tupac thing. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I saw that they arrested a guy in Las Vegas.
They did.
In regards to his murder.
Yeah, but they haven't released anything about who this alleged person actually is.
arrested somebody.
They did arrest someone.
Wasn't P. Diddy?
it was Ice Cube.
It was one of those guys.
Yeah. All right, we got one more question.
Oh, so sorry, man. Yeah.
No, you're good.
No, this is important.
This is why the questions are good.
That's exactly right. So, last question is this. He's taking a peek. He's cheating. What's one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice that you've ever received?
Oh man, and I think this is one I'm still working on. Man, I think especially as a business owner, or I guess anything you dealing with, there's so many times where you have these moments where you feel like you're drowning. You feel like it's just too much. I don't know how to do this exactly or do this exactly, but I think I heard someone say, it feels like you're just sinking and falling. Sometimes maybe you don't know every little thing here. Maybe you're new here, but just it's very simple. Just why drown when you can swim? You know, we all have the ability, even though we may not be good at something, we all have the ability to work and make us change yourself. You know, you could change yourself so many ways. I've reinvented myself like multiple times. Way different I was even 10 years ago. But any kind of problem you have, maybe it's not an instant solution, but you could swim. You know, instead of just drown, you just keep swimming. You can get a little Nemo in there.
Sure.
But no, that's
just
it.
keep swimming.
Anytime you're dealing with something, why drown when you could swim? You have there, even though you may not know them, there are steps out of what you do. And just continuing to move, I think, is better than stagnating, and which I've done a lot. It's where I'm just like,
Sure.
I feel stuck and I just stay stuck.
Yeah.
Instead of just keep moving, you know, don't drown in how bad the day was or what's going on in your personal life or what's going on work, right? Just can, you know, keep on swimming. So I don't know. I heard that. I've heard so many motivational quotes, and that one was 4 words long. And I got, you know, why drown when you could swim?
Yeah. Do you know who it was from?
Cartoon show called BoJack Horseman. Yeah, I heard it. It was on in the background. I don't really watch the show.
Yeah.
I just heard a little clip from it, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Yeah. And I was like, that's enough. That's good.
There you go.
Yep, I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I got that part, and I was like, I get it. Yep, I'm going to take that with me.
A little wisdom from BoJack.
Yeah, a
Nice.
little wisdom from BoJack.
I love it. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time,
this
man.
was a blast.
Good. We've had a good time as well. And honestly, it's funny because he mentioned it earlier in the show. Like we've talked about having a water remediation episode for a long time, just haven't had it materialize. So thank you for adding this to our repertoire. And for those of you out there, like I hope that you've listened to the episode, because there's a lot of really good nuggets that I think you can take away. So thank you. If you're listening right now and have not already subscribed to our show, what is wrong? Why have you not subscribed already?
Something wrong in your noggin.
guys,
Go ahead, like, subscribe, do all the things. And if you would, head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be fantastic.
Not a 1-star.
Not a 1-star like, what's her name? And
Grafaldo.
that's
Grafaldo.
it. And until next time, y'all, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.